Good morning. Welcome to Daily Devotions again, and it's good to have you here this morning. We're going to be turning our Bibles to the book of Isaiah, the Old Testament, 35th chapter, and we're going to be looking at the first three verses today. The wilderness and the desert will be glad, and the Arabah will rejoice and blossom like the crocus. It will blossom profusely and rejoice with rejoicing and shout of joy. The glory of Lebanon will be given to it, the majesty of Carmel and Sharon. They will see the glory of the Lord, the majesty of our God. Encourage the exhausted and strengthen the feeble. The Mojave Desert includes the expected sand dunes, the dry canyons, the mesas, the mountains of most deserts. But American biologist Edmund Jager observed that every few years an abundance of rain results in such a wealth of blossoms that almost every foot of sand or gravelly soil is hidden beneath a blanket of flowers. We experienced it just a few years ago with what we called the super bloom. The Mojave Wildflower Show isn't a yearly phenomenon, though researchers confirm the dry earth needs to be soaked by storms and warmed by the sun at just the right times before the blooms will cover the desert with their vibrant colors. You know, this image of God bringing forth life despite the arid terrain reminds me of the prophet Isaiah, actually. He shared an encouraging vision of hope after delivering God's message of judgment to all the nations. Describing a future time when God will make all things right, the prophet said, "The desert and the parched land will be glad. The wilderness will rejoice and blossom." He declared God's rescued people will enter his kingdom. With singing, everlasting joy will crown their heads. Gladness and joy will overtake them, and sorrow and sighing will flee away. With our eternal future secured by God and the promises of God, we can trust him through life's seasons of drought and drenching storms. Deeply rooted in God's love, we can grow, blooming into his likeness until at just the right time, Jesus returns and set all things right in our lives. Questions for you today. What storms of life have you been facing in your own journey? And how is God showing you his presence? Look, he's there. Pray with me. Loving God, thank you for assuring us you're with us and working to grow us through every stormy moment of our lives. Amen.